During an interview with Steven Crowder this week, Donald Trump Jr. tried to explain away why all of the big money Republican donors are abandoning his own father and, of course, as Crowder points out in the clip, moving over to people like Ron DeSantis. So here is Donald Trump Jr. clumsily trying to say it's totally cool if all the big donors leave his dad. Take a look.
As they've tried to do, where I see the pushback is sort of that donor class.
Yeah.
They don't want a Trump because they want to pick up the phone, get the president on, and when they say jump, the president says how high.
Yeah.
That's the distinction that I don't think anyone's talking about. The sort of, the Republican, cabal and the donor class. They want someone that answers to them. They want someone that needs them and their dollars and stuff like that. So, that's the only.
And are you saying that DeSantis may tread that, he may kind of toe that line a little bit?
I think it's different when you're an independently wealthy billionaire and you don't need those sort of dollars and you have that sort of. You're just not as beholden to those people, and so yeah. I'm not saying anything about him. I'm just saying that's really, if there's any schism whatsoever, maybe it's that because they want that control again. I think
my dad just has so much money that he doesn't need the money from the other people, right? He's a billionaire, so they want to give the money, and I'm not saying this about DeSantis, but they want to give the money to, people they can control. So even though he puts that caveat in there, like, I'm not saying anything about DeSantis, and then he goes on to describe the kind of people who get the money after it had already been established that DeSantis was getting the money. Now, here is something I will never say again for the rest of my life. Junior's actually 100% correct about most of it. Let's put a little asterisk by it, okay? I'll give you that. Little bitty asterisk, because he is right. That is why corporate money goes into politics, right? That's not a big secret. You only give money to people because you think you're going to be able to get something in return. In effect, you believe you're going to be able to control them in certain areas, right? Like Joe Manchin with giving benefits to the fossil fuel industry. Mitch McConnell giving benefits to major corporations. That's how the money flows. That's why the money flows. That's why corporations pay off politicians to begin with. So yes, Donald Trump Jr. is 100% correct about that, but he's wrong about the reason, right? Because he doesn't address why they're leaving his dad. It's not because they don't think they can control him. They did a damn good job of that for the 4 years he was in office. Even with giving him very little money while he was in office, of course it did pick up, towards the end with the 2020 campaign, they still got everything they wanted. So rather than feeding all of that money to the President of the United States, they fed it to members of Congress, House and Senate, so that they could get the legislation because they knew Donald Trump was a rubber stamp president, so he would just sign off on it. Big business got everything they wanted without having to pay off Donald Trump. But as I said, 2020 election rolls around, they did go to Donald Trump, but now they do not think he is viable. That's why they've pulled the money. That's why they're going to other people like Ron DeSantis. And that's the part that Junior skipped over. That's the part that he conveniently omitted, because that's what's actually happening here. Donald Trump did give corporations everything they have ever wanted, just like every other Republican and far too many Democrats. But now they see the writing on the wall. They understand that his poll numbers are bad. I know he got the little bump following the FBI search warrant, but that's going to disappear relatively quickly, especially with all the new information that has come out. And those big money billionaire donors are going to be looking back at Ron DeSantis. Hell, they may even look over at Ted Cruz. They may be looking at Nikki Haley or Josh Hawley or Tom Cotton or Chris Christie or Mike Pompeo or Mike Pence. God knows who it's going to be. But to an extent, he is right. They want to give the money to people they can control. But the caveat, of course, is they also enjoy giving money to the person they think can win an election. And that's the part that Junior left out.
This is Hattie. Hattie wants to know why you have not subscribed to our channel. You obviously like our videos, so do us a favor and subscribe.